So this is your final project for Design Perception and Audience called Redesign an Everyday Object. This project is in place of any exam, but is to be viewed in a similar manner. Your final project should contain principles and concepts gleaned from Module 1, 2, 3, and 4. Your final project is to identify an everyday object that you would like to redesign and make better. Use all 4 modules for your redesign. Start by identifying a problem, preferably a problem that's personal to you. Identify an object that you use on almost a daily basis, something that you understand and have a personal reason for wanting to redesign. Begin by stating your problem in a single sentence or 2. I love traveling with physical sketchbooks, and all my supplies and contents and tools become difficult to keep together. That could be the beginning of a good problem. Frame your problem well. Microsoft Zune was not a successful product because it didn't address any special design problems in daily life not already fulfilled by features in other products. It could be argued that the Zune-only features such as wirelessly sending a song from one Zune to another, which was innovative at the time, were just as good as iPod exclusive features, making Microsoft's product seemingly strong contender, but instead it was a failure. Most of us have never heard of Zune. Why? You could unearth countless reasons why Zune wasn't a success, and probably a pile of reasons why it should have been. One major underlying cause was that Microsoft had not identified a problem that Zune would solve. There was no clear user needs that the iPod was failing to meet, or any new innovation that wouldn't shake things up. The Zune was solving nothing. Frame your problem, and then solve it. Archetypes. This principle could be very useful in stating who your user is and why you're making the redesign. Who is your user? How does the product make them better? Identify your user and be specific. Maybe use an archetype. This can be very useful at this early stage of redesign. Are you redesigning for the everyday person archetype or the magician? These are 2 very different users. One will desire functionality over style and ease of use over control issues. Your product is not your business. The person who uses the product is your business. People don't buy products, they buy better versions of themselves. Designers should be able to recognize when to stop adding features and keep constant with what people love about experience. Design your product for how it makes someone's life better. Prototyping. This principle can be used both to create a better design and photograph the design for your assignment. There are 2 types of prototypes you could think about using. Both create a scale simulation of your product. These prototypes are not pretty. They helped you to physically understand your problem. If you're redesigning an object for a blind individual, place a blindfold on and try to interact with your object. This creates empathy. You begin to understand the problems this user might experience firsthand. To the left is an example of low-fidelity prototyping. These are fast, cheap, often made of paper, and offer quick real-life testing with very little investment of time or money. Simply redesign on paper a possible product and how you might interact with it. High-fidelity rapid prototyping. This type of prototyping creates, to scale, a simulation of your object. It can provide more intricate user understanding. These are made to scale as closely as possible with cheap materials to a possible design. If your company lacks resources and money is scarce, then high-fidelity testing can save thousands of dollars in thoughtless design choices. This type of prototype could be used very well to photograph and create a poster. It also allows you to interact with your object and locate possible problems with the design. Storytelling. This principle applies to every design. You need to tell your audience a story about your problem and your solution. Make it personal. Think about didactic narrative. The didactic narrative could be used to quickly establish what the overall problem is and how your product might solve it. Storyboards are a great way to bring a story to life. When telling a story, make it personal. Make it about you. Make it about a real problem that you have. Authenticity is often easily understood in design. Use our projects. Make a prototype and photograph it for a poster like the PSA design. Or create a didactic narrative explaining the problem or the solution. Design a mnemonic device for a logo. Here I've redesigned my sketch pad. I have spent time to redesign a mnemonic device or a logo called Sketch Pack. I've designed the sketchbook itself, and I've explained some of the contents of my product. I've used a didactic narrative to the right to show how the product is used. The sketch pack opens, the contents come out of the central binding, and then the binding is magnetically attached to the outer part of the sketchbook. Create a memorable motto or tagline. Make sure the entire project follows a consistent design. Your color palette, shapes, and backgrounds should all tell your story. Remember, you have 3 outputs to create for this final design. Any 3 projects could be used to create a better understanding of both your problem and your solution. Consistent design in concept and aesthetics. Keep it consistent between your 3 images for this final design. Each design should feel like it belongs to a single campaign. Presentation matters. The quality of your design leads to aesthetic usability. The cleaner, better designs will always be rated higher than those poorly presented concepts, even if those concepts are better. Write about your principles using all 4 modules. Write about all of your principles for this final project. Identify a minimum of 10 to 15 terms and thoroughly explain them with definitions. Hope that helps with your final design for design, perception, and audience.